teach how you would be better at doing this. And the class is going to sing and all of that kind of stuff, and we'll all do the exercises together, but we won't grade them. Now, in terms of ear training, I am a solfege person, but I wasn't in college. At Florida, we did only la, neutral, that's called neutral syllable. At Alabama, we did numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that was fun. But the reason I do solfege here, and it may have changed over the years, I just haven't, is that my thought was, if you ask a music student, would you like to know solfege? Not would you like to learn solfege, but would you like to know solfege? Mostly they do, but there's only one way to be able to do that, is to teach it for 2 years. It's just, I'm very comfortable with solfege now. Now there's 2 kinds of solfege. There's fixed do, and there's not fixed do. I forget what they call that.
Movable do.
Movable do. I'm a movable do person. I believe there's a lot of good reason to do fixed do, particularly if you want to establish relative pitch or perfect pitch. I don't have perfect pitch, but I do know what an A is, and that's because I just always played in the orchestra, and if I want to know what an A sounds like, I just listen for the oboe in my head. Also, when I was about 18 or 19, every time before I go to sleep, I would sing an A, and then I would pluck it on the guitar, sleeping next to me on the floor. That was all that was sleeping with me in college, was the guitar. And pluck the A, and then when I would wake up in the morning, I would sing an A and pluck the A. And how has that helped me as a musician? Not at all. Really, not at all. I grew up playing brass instruments and all sorts of instruments. So I have a good idea of intonation, but that is a relative thing. It's intonation and tuning has changed over the years. We'll think about talking about that. Now, here are the 3 bigger parts of the class. There's 3 20% grades. The final project. Now the other 2 are, the first one is due Monday, June the 17th, and it is a basic part writing topic. And what we want to go through is to teach something that would occur towards the end of the first year of theory. So that's going to be dominant sevenths, maybe modulation, and that will be in chorale style. Now I think you could include or vocal style, I should say. I think in the music fundamentals, you could discuss basic vocal style part writing, but it has to be really basic. Now in the basic part writing topic, you want to teach something specific, like something specific. We can discuss that as we move through. I'll be teaching these things to you, and if one of them interests you or you want to give a different take on it, you can do that. So you'll need to develop some materials. I'll give you some materials that you can resource from. You can pull it out of a book or whatever. But in that, you'll need to do part writing stuff, and you'll also need to do some analysis stuff. So you'll need to pick something. I will put in your Sakai site, which you don't have access to, the 371 Bach chorales that are harmonized. I got them off the IMSLPGDRF site or whatever that is. What a great resource that is. And I use that a great deal in my theory teaching. I teach Bach chorales a lot just because I do. And basically, in my 3 years of theory, I teach Bach, Chopin, Brahms, and a little bit of Mozart. That's pretty much what I teach. That's somewhat limited, but oh well. Then, the final week of class, on the 24th, you're gonna wanna do an intermediate music theory topic. And we'll discuss that a lot more. And that we want to be full on, end of the first semester, sophomore theory stuff. And that's kind of augmented sixth chords, stuff like that, Neapolitan. I will teach you all of those things. I believe when you're being evaluated in graduate school, if you understand the augmented sixth chords, that means you understood sophomore theory. That's basically it. And I do spend an inordinate amount of time on that in sophomore theory, even though music literature does not spend an inordinate amount of time on it. I just do. Are there any questions? All of that should add up to 100%. Although maybe we want to give 110%, maybe that's what we want to do. And it is my goal to give you all an A. Generally, graduate courses are you get an A or you get an A. That's kind of how it goes. I'll be happy to give you a B, but I would prefer to give you an A. Turn in your work and you'll get an A. And I would really like class to be useful for you. So now a few other things. Let's see. Well, we're not done yet. So we'll take a break at the top of the hour, and y'all can determine how long y'all would like that to be. 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. What would you prefer? And we will pretend like we go a little extra long every day, but I know we all have things to do, so let's limit the punishment. Okay, now, what we're going to do now, and we're going to do this until our break, is talk about a practice graduate theory diagnostic exam. For you two, it'll just look like every other thing you've ever done for me. For you two, it'll be a little different. I gave a diagnostic exam to Sammy's class last fall. It didn't go real well, I'm gonna have to say. So this is basically it, just a little bit transposed. And one thing, your theory class may have used things a little differently than my theory class does. The thing is, you're all smart enough to know things more than one way. Okay? So let's just talk through this. Most of this will be easy. So the first thing that we want to diagnose is, do we understand that this is a treble clef? First thing, okay? And can we tell that that's a sixth, and can we tell that it's a minor sixth? Okay, we're all good with that? Now what I like to do, and I'll talk, well, let's just leave that for the second hour. I'm gonna go over some basic skills in the second hour. So, I like to use, oh gosh, my beautiful wife of about 100 years, 30-something years, has, we do exercises every morning, always. But this little English lady who, and now, pull your leg to the oh. Okay, when I write minor, I like to do that. I like, because you'll get students who will do this. And this will be a minor sixth, and this will be a major sixth. So, one thing that I've really evolved on in teaching theory is that I have whiteboard markers to stick to the board. It's really my favorite thing. Okay, so I like to use a cursive M there. Some people draw a little line under it, but no matter what you tell your students, they still won't do it. Just keep that in mind. Now, the next thing we're going to look at, it's in another clef, it's a C clef, but we want to be able to recognize that if it's space to space, that it is a seventh, okay? And it's a seventh that's been raised, so that means it's going to be some other seventh. So this clef that we're looking at is, what do we call that?
It's not alto?
That is an alto.
It is alto.
It's not a tenor clef. Okay, so if we have this, what the C clefs do is tell us where middle C is, or C4 in the, always learned it as small c, but now I think we call that C4, don't we? Okay, so if this is a line in a space, that means that's a fourth below C, right? So that would make that a G. And so if this is here, that's an F sharp, so that makes that a big M7. Now here's the point I like to make about the C clefs. There's not two C clefs, there's a bunch of C clefs. And before the days of finale where you hit a button and transpose, I would use the C clefs when I was writing transposed parts. Now, say I had to take a part in C and write it for a French horn. A French horn reads a perfect fifth above what is written. Okay, so if I'm hearing a C, a French horn uses, for the most part, French horn is a very weird instrument, it's a bad example, but let's go with it anyway. That would be a G. Okay, so you write a G for the F horn, not the E flat horn or the non-transposing horn. Now what I always did was read this in mezzo soprano clef, and I just thought of it in mezzo clef. We don't use that very often, but you can apply a C clef to do your transpositions. So what's another one, like E flat saxophone, right? I don't know.
E flat is sax, alto and bass.
Right, so it's sounding that if I'm writing that. Is that correct? That is correct. Yeah. Got used to pushing the button. Okay, so that isn't really such a great clef, is it? Anyway, let's go on with our diagnostic exam. Okay, so that's the alto clef, and I really do believe in using them in the theory class just to keep the kids thinking. Now, the next thing that we see is an A sharp to a D sharp in the bass clef, so we know that's a perfect fourth. We all know that. Now we have the tenor clef, and also when we're discussing the alto clef, we always like to say, well, the viola plays the alto clef. Okay. Now, what plays the tenor clef? Mainly the trombone and the cello, only when it gets very high. They don't play the alto clef. They'll look at you very strange if you write an alto clef. So, one thing we can see on this example is the note is an octave below. Regardless of what your clef is, an octave is still an octave, right? So we're looking at a C sharp going up. Yes, a C sharp going up to an A. Now that's gonna be a sixth, and it's a minor sixth. Any questions about that? Now we're going to discuss how to teach intervals a little bit later. All right, so the next thing is to write an E harmonic minor, and we're given a, oh, I had other things to get out, and this was, I need a graduate assistant. You know, I have great assistants, although I fired them all this year. Here is like regular, like baby staff paper that you would get in for younger students. A couple sheets here. And you really don't even have to buy this stuff anymore. I mean, I make staff paper. Here's some more staff paper that is keyboard style paper. I teach keyboard style in sophomore theory as opposed to vocal style, but that would not be a vocal style grand staff, that would be a keyboard style grand staff. A vocal style grand staff has one of these. Is that a brace or a bracket?
I think it's a bracket.
That's a bracket? Then what is this? I think that's a brace and that's a bracket. This is keyboard style, this is vocal style. So I really like to make that distinction in freshman theory anyway, because I just do. Now, E harmonic minor, and this is without key signature. So one thing we would do is just write your notes. I like to teach at this point that stems go up when they're below the middle staff, and they go down when they're above the middle staff, and they basically go about an octave. The middle staff may go either direction. That's not true for part writing, that's true for melody writing. Now, E minor has one sharp in the key signature, so we need to add that right there, and it has a raised leading tone. This is something else we'll discuss later, that there's no such thing as a minor scale, okay? Harmonic minor is just a theoretical construct by theorists. For one thing, the augmented second is outlawed in 18th century music, except ornamentally. So it's not even really what we think of with the minor key is that it's in the minor mode. And we have these weird things. The natural minor, the harmonic minor is only used for the harmony of it, to raise the leading tone, to make the music tonal instead of modal. So that is our harmonic minor scale. That being said, we still have to know this stuff, okay? And I always find it odd whenever, I didn't learn things this way, but when you go to like the piano juries or something and they say play E minor, they only play the harmonic minor. They don't play all forms of the scale. I'm not sure I agree with that, but no one cares. Okay, so F melodic minor, ascending and descending. Oops. Okay, so F minor has 4 flats in it, so that would be B flat would be one of them. So where is a B flat? There's a B flat. E flat is one of them, but in the melodic minor, you raise the 6th and 7th degree of the scale. So D natural, E natural, F. So all we have is F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D natural, E natural, F, and then we must flat these on the way back down. Now, when I ask this of my students, they're generally the first 3 weeks of school, right, that you're doing this. You have to be really, really particular about it. They have to do it exactly right, even if you know what they're thinking. A lot of times, you know, theoretically, if they left that off, that would still be correct because it's one measure. Try not to get them to do that. I'm amazed, and you will be too when you're teaching college theory, is the amount that your students know when they come into school. And when they have trouble with stuff, I often am thinking, well, what were you doing in the 7th grade? I mean, didn't you learn this in the 7th grade? But that's often not the case. They don't, I guess they understand key signature enough to play in the band or something. Sometimes with choral students, they don't really even read music. I'm not sure how that happens anymore, but then again, you'll have other students who very, very competent. What I found about first year theory, and I'm sure you can relate to this, it's either too hard or too easy for everyone in the class. There's just no, maybe you could break it up into the good section and the bad section, but then that's, I don't know, some schools may do that, but then it seems like the bad section would have to go to school for longer. Now, for C sharp major, I like to make this point always. What are we doing here? C sharp major. It's kind of like the additive theory in mathematics. If C major has no sharps or flat, C sharp major would have all sharps or flats. And we'll get to that idea as we get to the circle of fifths. Now we start moving into actual sophomore theory here on the second line. Oh, the bottom line here. Okay, so provide the key signature for E major. Now I'm going to do this in keyboard style, but you could do it in vocal style too. I always like your key signatures always go left to right. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. That's lower left to upper right. F sharp. Okay, the question is, what is 5, 6, 5 of 5? All right, well, first thing we need to know is all of that stuff. What does 5 of 5 mean? It means we are creating a dominant chord of the dominant chord. We'll go over this extensively later on. Okay, so what is 5? Right and resolve. What is 5 in the key of E? Well, we know that to be B. Now 6, 5 means a first inversion 7th chord. So this is a first inversion dominant 7th chord. So what is the dominant of that would be F sharp. So we have to spell a dominant 7th chord built on F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E natural. In first inversion, that would put the altered note in the bass. And then we could put, if you wanted, the other notes. I'm doing keyboard style. I could do that's weirder looking in vocal style. Probably revoice that. Okay, so that goes to that goes to that goes to that, and that goes to that. Okay, so that would be the answer of that. Okay? Now, the Neapolitan 6th chord in the key of B flat major. So the next thing we need to know is what is B flat major, and that has 2 flats, again going lower left, upper right. And the Neapolitan is described as a flat major 2 chord in first inversion double the bass. Now I can always remember that and just say it, but my students can never remember that or say it, but that's what it is. A flat major 2 chord in first inversion double bass. Okay, so in B flat, flat 2 would be C flat. So that's going to be C flat, E flat, G flat. So what I like to do is put the 3rd and then just literally write the chord again. Just write the triad, and then you will always be right, because you've doubled the bass then. Okay, so what does that do? It generally acts as a predominant, and it either goes to the dominant or to another predominant, but eventually it's going to get to the dominant. And the thing that we want to remember is the altered note goes to the altered note. Now what do I mean by that? C flat is going to go to A natural. All right, now why did I call A natural an altered note? Because the Neapolitan 6th